-2. So we talked a lot yesterday about place value. We talked about where certain digits are in a number will determine their value and the overall value of that particular number. Today we talk about what comes after. I posed 6th grade a question to see if they can answer it. I deal with decimals all the time, and now especially being in 7th grade, you've had plenty of experience with decimals. But how would you explain the 1/9, the portion after the decimal, to someone that had no idea what it meant? Say if you were explaining to like an alien from outer space who's never seen money before, how would you explain the value of just that part there? Break. Less than 1 whole. Does it have some value? Yeah, it certainly does. Okay? This is either, this no matter what it is, if I have something there, is working its way toward getting me closer to the next whole number. Now 19 cents isn't very close to having another whole dollar, but it's better than not having anything at all. Okay? So it's just an understanding of what these mean. It does have a value, it just has a value less than 1 whole. Okay? When we talk about place value in general, and if I were to put up a number on the board, very long number, I can make some assumptions that the further the digit was that way, what happens to the overall value of that digit? The further I am over here, right, not higher necessarily, we can use a different word that would be more specific, greater. So then the same would have to be true. The further I move this way, and all the way down to this 7, would mean the least amount of value. Okay? So if this is my 10th place, very similar to the question we had in that review, you know, I would need how many tenths to get 1 whole? 10. If I were in the 100th place, how many hundredths would I need to get 1 whole? 100th place, I would need 100. If you're talking about, this is the 100th place, right? In terms of money, that's your cent. How many cents do you need to make $1? 100. Okay, so just an understanding of decimals in general. Okay. I've got a green chart on page 9 that walks you through the decimals themselves. They will ask you to do certain things for today. They'll ask you to write decimals in expanded form. We saw an example of expanded form today in our review, ironically enough. Okay, so if I were to say, put this whole number into expanded form. That's where we take a look at, okay, that 7 is my largest, my greatest place value, and that's 7,000. And I'm going to add that 7,000 to 600. And then I'm going to add that 600 to 50, and then that 50 to 2. Okay? Nod your head if you remember doing that. Okay? If we start adding some decimals in here, 0.4. Now when I add this, I'm going to add exactly that 0.4. If I put another digit after it, Then what? Alexis? Very good. I have a 4 that occupies the 10th place. So I can't put another value there. I just got to push it back. The 5 comes 2 places after the decimal. So I need to make sure that I illustrate that when I put it in expanded form. I put another one down, a 7. Then we're going 0.007. The idea of expanded form is you could line all of the values up according to their decimal, add them up, and you'll get the number that you started with. Okay? Expanded form tells you that. All right? I'm going to put one down, and I want you to put it in expanded form. So we've got the 2 covered. How many places after the decimal is the 5? 2, so I need to do what? I need to put an extra 0 in there so I make sure I'm 2 places after. The 8 comes 3, so 0.008. And then the 6 is 4 places, so 0.1, 2, 3, 4. Don't be thrown off by the first 0 that I put down in each case. Okay? Yes, sir. The 0 in front. Did you just have 0.2 plus 0.05?
Well, I had 0.2 and then 0.5.
So you only put it here. Let's just try to be consistent. Does that sound fair? If you're going to use it once, then use it every time. If you're not going to use it, then don't use it. Okay? Word form. Talked about standard form yesterday. Standard form, we've been speaking in terms of numbers. Basically, you could say that that means what kind of form? Number form, right? So now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to take standard form, number form, and put it into word form. When do you do that in real life? Yeah, when you write checks. Okay, if you write checks now, or maybe you haven't yet, you will someday. For example, before we even get into decimals, we would say what? 3,000. You can use commas to separate. 146. What word didn't we use? And we talked about this yesterday, I'm assuming? Or no? So if I were to put this number in blue into word form, I would say 7 and 5 comes in what place? 7 and 5/10. Not 7.5. We're going to give it its proper name. I use and to represent that transition from whole numbers to the decimals. Okay? So that's why we save and use it whenever I see decimals. I'm going to be, I'm going to say that we're probably safe, for sure, with any numbers that are whole. Let's just refresh on the decimals and how to put those in word form. We're going to view whatever comes after the decimal as its own number. This was easy because it was only one digit. It was just a 5. But if we take a look here and say something like this, okay, we can start it. We'd start it how? And let's look at this as its own number. If you had just seen that number, you would call it what? 203. So we're going to do the same thing. Eight and 203, where does it end? So we got 1, 2, 3 places back. It ends at the third place. What place is that called? Michael. Thousandths. So I'm going to tack on thousandths there. And we'll be set. Try that one. Okay. And so 50 and use this as its own number. So we'll say 6003, and it goes 4 places back. Any questions there? What if you had one like this where it said, what you do with that one? First of all, do you need to say 0 and? No. But what's different about this example than the other ones? What does it end with? Why does that make a difference? Carlos. Why does that make a difference? I mean, it can or it can't, depending on how you want to deal with it. It's pretty much up to you. Yeah, I could either say that this is 4/10, because do I need that extra 0 at the end? No. Why? Because there's no other real numbers after it. If I want to just play it straight up, then I can just call it what? 40 hundredths. Okay? So, same thing, just a different way of saying it, but it means the same thing. Okay? If they give you word form, then they're going to ask you to put it in a standard form. If they say, okay, 40 and 9 thousandths. Well, start with what we know. 40 and. Put it in word or standard form. 40.9 thousandths. How many digits is 9? Just 9. 1. But I've got to make sure that that digit ends how many places back? 3 for the thousandths. So what am I going to do? 3 zeros? Double check. Did that 9 end up 3 places back? There it is. Okay. How can you remember without having the green chart in front of you? You just say, well, you know what, Mr. Lorette, I might be pretty strong with the tenths. I know my hundredths, but after I get to that point, not really 100% sure what the next ones are. Think of it in terms of this way. This 10th place, 1 place, how many zeros are in 10? 1. How many zeros are in 100? 2 places, 100th. How many zeros are in 1,000? 3 places, 1,000. 4 zeros in 10,000, right? Okay. You should have 1-2 Correct? I'm hoping you held on to that because it had a backside. Number 1 says write each decimal in expanded form. That's where I use those series of, I use addition to help. So my highest value is that 2 in what place? 100 plus plus. Now we get to these in the decimal portion. So 0.2 and then 0.03. What if you have one like number 3? We didn't do an example like this, so we'll do this one together. Where there's a 0 already in it. Well, let's treat it like normally until we get there. Highest value in this case is a 10, followed by a 9. Now, when I get to the 0, do I have to put plus 0.0? No, it's a 0. I can skip over it, so I can go right to this one and say 0.0. I still include this 0 because I want to make sure that this 1 is 2 places back. Okay, but I don't have to have a special place for it. Number 7, we need to put this one into words. Okay, so we'll start off easily and say 12 and the strategy here is look at whatever is after the decimal as kind of like its own number. So what do you see there in the box, Michael? 873, and since it's 3 places back, it's the thousands. Okay. Sure, if you're labeling decimals, that you're not labeling this thousands, it's thousandths. Big difference. Yes, ma'am. Oh, sorry. Good catch. Thank you. 873 thousandths. Second day, already making mistakes. Okay. Number 10. Write each decimal in standard form. 3/10. Number 10, 3/10. How would I write this in standard form? Desi? There you go, 0.3. I've got a 3 in the 10th place. 0.3. Fine. Number 11, 52 hundredths. Alexis, 0.52. $18, $19, $21 are expanded form. Line them up according to the decimal. And then 22 to 27. What is the value of the digit 7 in each number? So when you look at number 22 and it's a 0.7, what place is that 7 in? In other words, what value does it have? Michael? Tenths. So go ahead and just put tenths down for number 22. Refer to your green chart if you need it. So I'm going to put down as your assignment for tomorrow, worksheet 1-2. There are a number of them that were done in class, but I also expect those ones that were done in class to be done on your sheet. okay? So please make sure that you document anything that was done. It is currently 1:47. You are dismissed at 2:05. So you've got about 18 minutes. If you have any questions, feel free to bring your sheet back to me and I can help you. Okay? If you finish with math and have other homework that you brought, it's a good idea to usually bring something else just in case, even if it's just a book to read. Eli.